Hi, everybody. Welcome to Freewheeling Fridays from Java Capital. I'm Karthik Pillapaka, partner at Java Capital. And I have with me Vinod Shankar, another partner at Java Capital.
Hey Karthik, what's happening, man? You seem to be your eyes trembling, crying. What happened?
Yeah, man, I'm just following the presidential elections in the US, and it brought some tears to my eyes.
I think it is what you call one of the most entertaining days today, right? Actually, I'll tell you why. I mean, the next 2 hours are going to be super entertaining. I mean, one is freewheeling session, by the way. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
two, two, there is Bihar exit polls happening as we speak. Three, I think decisively by midnight today, you'll know is Trump is going to lose or not, right? Not win.
Quite right.
So, and the third one is Bangalore's qualifier with Sunrisers Hyderabad starting at 7:30 p.m.
Ooh, nice.
I'm like great packed time to have, and in the middle of it, I still have a call at 7:30. Okay.
Now that makes for a packed, evening. It's Friday is supposed to be for us to take some time off, right, in the evenings and then prepare for the weekends. But there's no distinction between weekdays and weekends anymore. Everything seems the same.
Correct.
Anyway, if you guys are just joining us, thank you so much for joining us. Really great to have you here. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in either the comments on YouTube or on Periscope, and we will feature them here. And then we will obviously discuss those things. So today we have an interesting session as always, right? So we're not gonna let you know if we have a surprise guest or not. If we do, then I think it'll come as a surprise to us also today. So we haven't planned on anything just yet, but we'll see. Because last time, we were actually quite surprised. A couple of very interesting people that we know in our network have jumped in on the conversation and shared their thoughts on various aspects, right? So we hope to see something like that this time around as well. You look a little frozen, Vinod. I don't know. Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear
Okay,
you.
okay.
Yeah.
Great. I think the lighting helps, Vinod. We can see you better with the lighting on. Yeah, there you go. Great.
Okay. Okay.
When we were just talking about a couple of things that were there on our minds that we wanted to discuss today, right?
Yeah.
So shall we dive right
Yeah.
into it?
Yeah. Let's go ahead.
We know one of our partners is still running on Indian Standard Time. Arsh is here. Yay! Just about time. So, Bhargavi, welcome back. We were just about to dive into our conversational points for today. Um, and I think I'll start with one announcement. So you may have seen that we've been doing these freewheeling Fridays for quite some time now. So what we decided to do is we wanted to make sure that you guys can go back and see some of the previous conversations as well. So if you go to our website, you will see all of our previous conversations on the freewheeling Fridays with all of our surprise guests and everything, right? So just go to javacapital.co /blog, and then you will see all of our previous ones here. So I'm just going to put that on the screen just for a second. There you go. So you can see all of our previous sessions here. So once this session is done, we will ensure that we upload this video also to the same place, so you can catch all of it on our website. So while we are still on this website, right, I also want to draw people's attention to the angel investor course that we are running starting. What was the date? I forgot the date. November 21st, right?
21st.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very first
So,
down. Yeah.
yeah, so you can just go in here. We are taking pre-registrations right now. You just have to go and fill this form here. we'll get back to you, because we've been getting a lot of requests, and we want to make sure that we only take in those that few people that we can manage in a segment, right? We cannot take a class of like 40 odd people, so we want to keep it at a reasonable size of 10 to 12 people. So just please go ahead and fill in the form. Either one of the partners will get back to you or review your information, and then invite you to participate in the course. It's an 8 session course. It's 8 online courses over a course of 4 weeks. Very interesting. This is we've already done 4 batches since we started this year, somewhere in June, May, June, if I'm not mistaken, right? So this will be our 5th batch. So we have a lot of learnings that we want to pass along. So feel free to check this out. Having said that, all right, we're back. So we don't. I think today is going to be a slightly shorter session, right? Because we haven't really planned on any surprise guests just yet for this week. So shall we delve into some of the things that really caught our eye? Discuss a little bit about that, and then share some of the interesting aspects that we found from the startup ecosystem.
Yeah, all good. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that is been since the morning that I've been hearing a lot and seeing it on Twitter and messages is WhatsApp. Is being given, let's say, the license by the regulator to go ahead and launch payments on WhatsApp for was the first 20 million users. I think that's really big news. I think the ecosystem is like super. I think it's also an experiment, right? I think more than making payments easier, and people are also anxious to find out, how will WhatsApp do this, and how will it scale, and what does it mean for existing players? And it has other implications also, right? Which is again, assumed implications. Like all of us are excited when we see something for the first time, right? WhatsApp starts doing UPI. It's so intuitive, frictionless. Both, I think it has both disadvantages and advantages. Imagine if somebody who doesn't know who's asking for money, or is it like being sent, right? And imagine if it comes on WhatsApp and your money gets defrauded. That's like potentially possible when it's very frictionless, right? I mean, friction is in some sense, protects you. Not so much. No friction means you just press a button and your money is out of the bank account. So I think both have to be looked at. That's what I was thinking in the morning, right? People who are well informed, advised, educated, it's fine. WhatsApp makes it easier. But I have a strong feeling, this also will result in a large number of, frictionless frauds, if you will. There are a lot of people complaining, already on UPIs, the QR codes being used, right? So that's concern, but it's good also because SMEs are expected to, start making payments on this. I mean, that's like a large angle that's kind of emerging, right? And if UPI is also implemented for corporate and other current accounts, right? I think it opens up like a significant opportunity, even just for us, right? You are talking about angel investing course, right? Why should we go and provide some charges to the payment gateway? Imagine if we just give a UPI handle and somebody just wires the money as soon as they finish. So the payment gateway becomes slightly irrelevant. If we can send a payment link on WhatsApp and and get it done, right? And I'll save a lot of money. I mean, it's not small money, right? Like we save like 2%. It's a significant, so 2 to 2.5%. That's like significant amount of money that's getting saved because of UPI. I think that is where I see a lot of potential action for both SMEs, for corporates, everybody over the next couple of years. But short term, it'll be fun to watch, what WhatsApp does. I'll be using it for sure. I think me and Karthik have used it in beta multiple times.
Correct.
We were in an earlier avatar exchanging money on coffee and stuff like that. So we've used it before. So I know it's very, very seamless. Yeah.
Right. So I think, that's exactly the point that I was trying to, hoping to make, right? That this is not new to a lot of us who have been using it. So it doesn't necessarily come as a surprise. But what comes as a surprise is it's still only restricted to about 20 million people, right? I mean, those are the number of accounts for which they have gotten the approval. I'm not sure what is the logic behind it. After the product being in beta for so long, that the authorities have chosen to give only access to permission to have only 20 million accounts on that. But I think we'll have to see if that is, to ensure that all the things run smoothly.
Correct.
The other thing that I was thinking about, Vinod, is this could be a game changer for a lot of small businesses, right? Especially those who are doing
Yeah.
social commerce, using channels like WhatsApp or Facebook to promote their products and so on and so forth. I think this will be significantly uh, tremendous for these small business owners, right? So we'll have to see. I'm trying to draw some parallels, right? Does this have the ability to do what Netflix has done to Blockbuster or the DVD rentals before it? Do you think this is that kind of an event that when we look back can have that kind of an impact?
Yeah, so couple of things, Karthik. One is, I think the 20 million, right? The 2 crore Indian accounts
Yeah,
which they have given, right? Um, I think it is also because of the 30% cap which NPCI has introduced. That was also a very recent news, right?
mm,
Yesterday or day before they gave. I think if I'm not wrong, so they are saying that if a particular forward in that month, and this comes into effect from January is what they are saying, but of course you can phase it out. So I think that has got a link with the approval that they have given to WhatsApp, because else WhatsApp is going to become like a huge mammoth, given the reach of WhatsApp in India. So that's how I think probably this has been decided. That's my personal view. If we, because it has its link to the number of UPI transactions. If I'm not wrong, it's around a billion transactions or something. I know billion is a much larger number compared to 20 million, but it is number of transactions. This is users. So we will also have that velocity. So we don't know anyway. Let's see. I think um, this is more important for the NPCI to probably have a third larger player where Google Pay and Phone Pay is there, because if 30% rule is to come in, then they need to have more such players who can change it. Otherwise, today Phone Pay and Google Pay is having, I think, more than 80%, 85% market share. If
of the
I'm
market. Yeah,
I
you
think,
know,
yeah, I think interesting things to point, right? Like Bhargavi was saying, right, that rule 30% was talked about, and that happened over yesterday only. Same time, yesterday night, the 30% are today morning, and then
yeah,
WhatsApp getting approval happened simultaneously, almost, right? Uh,
funny coincidence.
yeah, funny coincidence. So I think on the reason for 20%, I think it's just a short-term measure to see how the infrastructure holds up, is my sense.
maybe.
And anyway, 2 billion transactions is what we are at currently, UPI transactions, right? 2 billion, and to hit 30 million, even if you average 5 transactions, WhatsApp will still not hit 30% shortly, right? At 20 million kind of number. So they'll get that thing. I think they'll get slowly increase it for WhatsApp, and slowly move so that infrastructure holds up. That's good, but strangely, right? Why the game to restrict it, right? Why do you want to do this practice? I mean, is it like getting to a monopoly game? Is actually the bigger question that I was thinking, right? Like, I mean, why is the restriction? When whoever is able to achieve, right, they should be allowed to, right? I mean, at the end of the day,
Exactly.
unless there's an abuse of the competitive position, right? I mean, we've not even reached a competitive position for abuse. Like Google and PhonePe are at 40%, and we don't even know the numbers for banks per se. When I say banks per se, right, the 2 billion counts only the third party, third party tech players, which is Google
Mm,
Pay, PhonePe guys. It doesn't count transaction. Let's say I use ICICI Bank app for doing UPI, right? It doesn't count it.
Yeah, this
Strange.
is only third party.
Correct. So there is so much more transactions that's potentially happening outside, the trackable number also. And that's not being counted. So that way, right, it leaves a lot of room on where all the UPI transactions are happening in the first place, because RBI will have to check there also, what's the number, actual numbers. Some sense, I don't understand why should the capping happen in the first place, right? I mean, why the gap at all? I mean, if any of you have any interesting answers, I would love to listen. And I will catch up, Karthik. Since freewheeling, I'll need a minute, okay? And Amazon delivery is on the way, okay?
Certainly. We'll take over. No, I think, look, Bhargavi, I think one of the things that really piqued my sort of, the curious face, right, if you will, was when I saw that there's a restriction of this 30% on each of these individual players, right? Why not let there be a free market sort of a solution? Let the market figure out, who is best. I'm just really hard pressed why we are still trying to put some limits or caps on certain things. Could it be one of the reasons maybe to safeguard the data of the users? That could potentially explain some of that limitations on these players, right? Given how sensitive the information is. Could there be any other reasons why you think that limit could be justified?
Even I was thinking more on the data, because this is very, very sensitive actual data of how India is doing, right? Because today UPI has become like a choice, sort of payment mode of choice for many people. Though there are people who still say that cash is still in existence, though pandemic has changed it, I think it's mostly on the data. That's how even I'm seeing, and I don't think there is anything wrong from NPCI side now to think about that, because all said and done, it's still in a nascent stage. Though we might be having 1 billion transactions a month in UPI, it's still nascent, and India is one of the few countries having such volume of transaction in the digital mode. So there is no precedence in the world also. That's how I look at it. So I don't think there is anything wrong to take this cautious path, and maybe this can change down the line in another 5 years once we all know how infra is panning out, who are the players and all that.
So basically, this is essentially a duopoly right now, which will be, an oligopoly with WhatsApp also coming in, right? And interestingly, Bhargavi, all three of the companies are in a way foreign backed companies, right? Hey, Vinod is back. Hi, Vinod.
Hey.
So that is another interesting aspect to it, right? PhonePe is owned by Walmart. WhatsApp is owned by Facebook, and Google Pay, obviously Google, right? So interestingly, the three largest.
You can't even tell. I don't think there is any question of foreign ownership, because that's like becoming a given thing in all the companies. Yeah, so I think that's where the data also comes in, right? I think it's more about a cautious step where NPCI is seeing there is a huge spike, and we have to probably take a cautious step. I think that's fine. As I said, there is no precedence in the world, so we define the precedence.
Yeah,
correct. I think another thing that really, when I was reading about this, right, really caught my attention is the ability of exporting the entire NPCI's UPI mechanism to other nations, right? This acts like a perfect launchpad for these global companies to, even build up on top of it. It's very interesting how an initiative that was born in India, is becoming a platform for these global technology companies to, build upon.
Yeah.
Right? Although PhonePe is definitely a homegrown company, right? There is no denial. So yeah, there are so many angles that we can slice and dice this particular thing. Very fascinating.
Karthik, that gives an opportunity, to talk about something that's growing at our end also, right? Just like the fintech rails, advanced fintech rails that's happening in the country, right? We are also seeing various acronyms apart from UPI, right? You have OCEN, you have Sahamati, and there's a health stack. So everything is being put on a rail, literally like what's happened, in the industrial era, right? So our fintech, probably, we are probably as a country, right? We probably have the most advanced fintech stack today, right? I mean, no other country can do payments like, instant. That's one of them, right? Like that's like a boon in a sense. Even the US doesn't have the capability to do. I mean, a transfer takes like 24, 48 hours or more, right? Like with something called ACH. So I think we're way advanced, and the reason I'm selling it puts something growing at our end is we are also looking at something, hopefully in the next couple of months, where we would be also looking at an interesting company, where is working on the rails in the fintech space, and that could potentially be our, first investment in the fintech space. And actually, I was looking at all our companies' potential investments and past investments, Karthik, and our areas of investment on the website, right? They're almost starting to match. I can do one-on-one now. We've covered almost every area.
Well, that's how it should be, right? I think we're doing something right then.
Yeah,
If that is the
I
case.
hope I hope so. Fingers crossed. I hope so.
Yeah. So also, I think this is a perfect segue into the next topic that I wanted to discuss a little bit, right? So just reading over a report that came out last month on the fate of e-commerce. Right. So what was some of the interesting themes of that is a lot of activity is happening from beyond the metro cities, right? In fact, tier two plus cities have really overtaken in the volume of the e-commerce transactions that are happening. Um, in okay, hey Vinam, yeah, we can read this, man. How's it going? Hello. Right. So that's a very interesting statistic, right? I mean, if you see about 67% to 65% of the transaction volume of transaction going happening beyond tier two plus cities. Um, the on the other side, there's a lot of new people coming in this next half billion model, right? You have a lot of new people who have not been exposed to online shopping are coming into the fray. I think the next logical step is to make sure that once these guys hop online, you have to convince them, you have to trust them, you have to make them trust you, and then you have to allow them to purchase things, right? So that is going to be the next part of the puzzle that we need to solve. I'm trying to pull some statistics, just if you can share some thoughts on that, what's happening in the rural side, if not rural, semi-urban areas in the country, do share your thoughts on that. I'll try to pull some statistics that I wanted to showcase.
Arguing.
I think that this is something which was anyway expected, and in my view, frankly, it's coming to mainstream now. But earlier, there have been organizations trying to do something in the tier two and rural areas, which was considered social venture or not-profit ventures,
Correct,
right?
correct.
So
Yes.
the moment you talk about rural tier two, it had the color of not-profit and social ventures before. So I think with all the Bharat coming in, it's becoming mainstream as of now. So that's why we now see more models evolving, more businesses coming out in that area, which is a good thing, which is a welcome thing because. At some level, if I have to take inspiration from Mr. Vembu, I also believe that people should have the option to stay in their own natives and still have the opportunities. right? So I think this is all first steps for that in that path.
So
yeah, go on.
Yeah, so I just pulled that statistic up. It's very interesting, right? This is a report from Unicommerce which came out last month. It talks about the order volume growth that has happened between 2019 and 2020, which says it has grown by 20%. That is the volume of the growth, right? Whereas the GMV has grown by about 23%. But the interesting point there is the share of tier two and beyond cities in consumer demand is 67%. So that's not just majority, right? That's actually some ways beyond majority, if you will. And the other phenomenon that we are observing, guys, is a lot of new brands are coming up with a specific focus on the tier two plus customers, right? These are not some of the brands that that we may not be very aware of living in a large city, right? But these are something that are actually solving at a much more regional level in these smaller cities and towns. Um, Even something that we think that solved, right? Like if you take a transportation, urban transportation, we think that it's a solved problem, but there's still very city-specific solutions or region-specific solutions that are coming up across the country, and their needs are completely different from the needs of a business like an Ola or Uber, which is operating at a much more national level, right? I'm just thinking if I go to a city like Coimbatore, or even maybe a smaller city, and I'm going to have to rely on one of these apps that I may not be aware of necessarily, living in a city like Bangalore, and still use them and still be able to get to where I want to get to, right? So these region-specific solutions will need a backbone as well, that is so it goes back to some of the things that you were talking about earlier, which is a company that we were looking at, which is specifically solving issues in that specific area, right? It's a tier two plus story, definitely a part of the story, trying to address a large problem there in that segment. So I think that is something that we are looking at very actively as well. That's a very interesting segment for us to look at. So yeah, this is something that I
Yeah,
want.
just to add a little more in that. So, in fact, the fintech which Vinod was saying is a firm which is focusing on these geographies and not in the top niche which everybody is behind. So that's what we really liked about the company and the team.
Correct. Yes, exactly. So those are a couple of things that I wanted to discuss. Is there anything else that you wanted to
So,
talk a little bit about?
yeah, Karthik, I think something maybe that's caught our eye. Maybe you are good at US elections. Maybe you can talk about it. But
Yeah, how can we ignore it?
Yeah, this is what happens. Like, when we don't have a surprise guest, we do more of a freewheeling, you know.
yeah,
But yeah, man, that is really, really interesting what's happening in the US. Obviously, very fascinating. Uh, who would have thought that we would still be in this situation, right? Where it's been 2 days since the election and nobody knows who is going to be the president. There's a lot of uncertainty. People are talking about lawsuits, yada, yada, yada. So this is a funny thing, right? And I just was watching CNN last night, and apparently in one of the counting stations in Arizona, a bunch of Trump supporters showed up with in SUVs and machine guns and whatnot. So Arizona is a free state. You can carry your
They might
weapon.
have watched a couple of Tamil movies and Telugu movies, I think.
I know, right? Yeah, tell me about it. So, we always say, this happens only in India, right? But this happens only in the US, nowhere else. People walking up to
No,
polling
no.
stations.
Now all expectations have. When I heard about somebody suing to stop count. I'm like, this is a totally different angle. We can
Yeah,
expect a movie in Tamil now with that
Yeah,
story.
yeah. The movie name will be "Stop the Count," Karthik with a hand. Okay, it's getting very political. Okay, now.
oh no, I don't wanna go in there, man.
Exactly.
I'm not going anywhere.
That's funny, right? Again, tech, right? I mean, I'm not saying you should use ballot or EVM, right? In India, right? Once the counting starts at like 8ish in the morning, we know the results of any election like by 11, 12 o'clock the
Yes,
same time,
yes.
right? Like because
Yeah.
those are all EVMs, right?
Yeah,
Electronic.
but Vinod, I still remember those days where they used to do 24 counts, 50
Correct.
counts,
Correct.
releasing the numbers. I like that
Yeah.
anticipation, man.
So there were rounds, and then there used to be something called booth capturing, Karthik, which is equivalent to what's happening. The stop
Right.
the count. If you ask me, they were not stopping the count. They were actually,
Yes.
what do you call, spamming the box. Let's say the ballot boxes with somebody's one single. They used to go and capture the booth, put all of the stuff inside it. Then you can't distinguish between which is the fraud ballots and which is the original ones, right? So you have to count it. You can't throw it away. So with EVMs, right, that's completely gone away. So there's no booth capturing. Amount of violence that used to happen in elections is completely gone down in India. I think for a country with like 1.3 billion, with 900 billion registered voters, right, like 900 billion, sorry. I mean, given the massive exercise, right? Look, underappreciated. I think
Effort.
election commission underappreciated efforts, and the numbers trickle down so fast, right? Like, so I am like, boss. We spoke about payment rails. I think India already has election rails also, right? In some sense, yeah.
No, for sure, Vinod. I think, but here's a slight difference, right? If you will, if you look at the American ballot, it's actually much more complex than simply,
Correct.
pushing your button next to a symbol.
Yes.
It's a much more grassroots democracy, if you will, right? Because people also vote on issues, right? For example, I just read. I mean, it just caught my eye, and not that I am very
About
keen on this, but I
about
just
who
read
is it?
New Jersey has legalized, recreational marijuana. So these are some of the things that people actually vote on directly.
I agree. There is that, but that happens like Uber Uber and other drivers, right, are also independent. They are not supposed to be employees. That also got voted, right? So I was wondering, you are electing the president and you are also voting on marijuana and Uber drivers at the same time. Imagine, that's what you're expected to exercise your choices on.
Correct.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying any remarks on the Indian voters' ability to do this or not. Maybe people think the Indian voter is not evolved to make decisions on marijuana or what the Uber should do, right? Like, so we are like provide bulk of the power in like our legislatures, and you expect them to do good stuff. A lot of times they don't do, which is a different kind of a problem that we have in India, right? I mean, so the majority, does what it kind of prefers to do. So you don't have, I mean, I kind of agree. No referendums happen in this country. I mean, at least not a single referendum on any issues happened, right? So far. Maybe, we'll evolve as a democracy, and maybe after 100 years of democracy, right, maybe we'll get referendums on particular issues. Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully not 100 years, maybe sooner than later. I think a lot of it goes back to people being illiterate, right? Which is something that we are overcoming right now. Largely Indian population is not illiterate. It's mostly literate. But like you said, there's still a little ways to go, right? For people to be able to really take democracy or the power into their own hands, which is going to be very interesting. Anyway, going back to the question, I think Biden is going to win. If he wins Pennsylvania, I was just telling you before the call. If he wins,
I'll ask you this now. Since you told Biden, who will win in Bihar? Tell me that. Since you've been following US elections, who's going to win in Bihar?
Why did you do this, man? You should have at least given me a fair warning, before we go online.
Okay, fine.
It's going to be the coalition, man.
Which coalition? Okay, fine.
There are two coalitions. Okay, no, I think it's the BJP RJD coalition.
Oh my God, Karthik, you lost.
Right?
They are like
Not the RJD. No.
They are in opposite parties.
No. RJD is Lalu's party, right? Nitin Kumar's party. JDU.
Okay, folks. You now know, right? Karthik's, from where? He's from US.
Hey, I told you JDU, man. I know Nitish Kumar's party is JDU. They're all very similar, dude.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Biden and Trump look similar colors. Yeah, does it?
The names sound very similar.
Yeah. Awesome. Anyway, that's good. Good fun. I think that was. I caught you. Yeah.
Mission accomplished, man. 666. What did I tell you?
Yeah. I got it. Yeah. So, Bhargavi, what caught your eye? Yeah.
Let's put Bhargavi on spot.
Yeah. Vinam says, coalition work, man.
Oh, I just saw your comment, man. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So, Bhargavi, what caught your eye?
What all busy in all the deals which we are working on, which is the largest in a single period for us.
Yeah, and maybe that's something that says something interesting in a way for the outside world. Yeah. So basically, Bhargavi is telling we have lots of money, guys. Please write to hello@javacapital.co. We are willing to.
We are deploying lots of money.
Yeah. Please, take your checks and go build your companies. Yeah.
So, guys, I think Bhargavi, that's a good point, right? It looks like we're not the only ones who are quite busy this quarter, right? There's another report that just came out on the venture capital investments in the past quarter, right? I'll just read out some of the numbers that stood out. Okay, this is the August to October period, so 3 months, right? August, September, and October. Over 101 deals with over $323 million getting invested, and this is only early stage, right? So this is before the Series B, if you will. I think that's a fairly healthy number, right? I don't know if we are up to the pre-COVID levels, but certainly, from compared to the previous quarter, it's almost an 80% increase, right? So the previous quarter was $180 million. Oops. So, what do you think of that?
Look at us. So if we are doing whatever we are doing, I'm not surprised. So see, that's what caught my eye. Now I think it's going more and more like so many deals are happening. It's just that so much is happening. So now I think even smaller firms would need a software to know if they have to keep track of the deals which is happening in terms of the market, right? I think that way, yes, we can see that also. I think we have had instances where we have delayed getting back to people by a couple of weeks and we have missed the deal. So it's just happening in that pace, right? So it's good for the ecosystem. Will be good if more unicorns come out of India sooner than expected, and we reach some decent levels in terms of the overall count. It's good for the economy.
Yeah, I also hope those unicorns come from our portfolio, Bhargavi. Okay.
Definitely goes without saying.
I think this also presents a slightly different conundrum, Karthik and Bhargavi, right? I keep thinking the number of deals that's happening that we're doing and rest of the other firms also doing, right, is like crazy, right? Like the number of deal count is like crazy that I've not seen, at least in the recent past, right? It sounds like 2015 maybe. That also means that there won't be a lot of money for some of these companies if they don't grow well, right? There's going to be a lot of competition unless we are saying, look, all of these companies are going to do well, right? Which is going to be tough in this market. So that's the other problem. I think that we'll all face at least maybe 12 months down the line, where we'll all be scrambling for which companies to get additional money, and then it'll start unraveling. We probably over invested. Maybe I'm just thinking. I keep thinking about this. Slightly conservative thinking starting to seep in at the end of the year. Too many investments happening. Every VC, right, that I've spoken to have said, look, we've exhausted our last fund. It could actually the investment cycle is less than 2 years. They've already exhausted, right? That's like saying something, right? And they're all either going and raising out another fund in the market, or that's like even that article, one of the articles, right? Lightspeed's done like 6 deals in that article. It shows. I mean, from what I'm hearing, there's more like in the pipeline. And every other firm that I've been talking to is telling the same thing. They're running out of dry powder on the current fund at least. And at the same time,
it's interesting, right? One, Vinam is saying, it's VC as a service. Sure, I think that's a good point, right? But also, not long ago, I just saw another report that says there is historically high dry powder available in the VC ecosystem to the tune of almost $7 billion, right? So I'm just trying to juxtapose that with some of the things that we are seeing, right? Anecdotally speaking, like when we're talking to a fund or somebody who is coming close to their investment cycle. So I think what gets lost in the larger picture when we see those reports, right, is VC can mean many things. What do you really care about, right? Is it like early stage VC, or is it the growth stage VC, or is it beyond that? So if you put all of them together, maybe a $7 billion number or a $9 billion number seems reasonable. But for a very young company, a seed stage company looking to raise a Series A, all that matters to that company is how much dry powder is available in that particular stage, right? So that is the biggest question that you need to answer. And I do think that funds are still cautious, which is can be seen to some extent, although they are letting loose now, especially in the aftermath of the COVID, right? But yeah, I think that is a real concern that we have to keep an eye out for, and especially some seed investors are doing as many as 30 to 40 deals a year, which is significantly high, right?
I think Shyam has a comment here.
Yeah. Yes. Guess with rates expected to remain low till about 2024, fresh funding should not be an issue. Yeah. So I think again, this goes to what I was saying, right, Shyam? I think our view is in the medium term to long term, we should be okay. So 2024, that's like 4 years out, right? So in the medium to long term, we should be okay. In the immediate aftermath, how comfortable the funds will get back to writing those checks at the pace that they used to do before the COVID situation. I have more comments coming in. This one is from Vinam. Do you want to respond to that, Vinod? To comment?
I think the big difference between 2008 and now, I think, is what we should look, right. There, mobility was not the problem for people, right? Obviously, finances got hit. In COVID's case, mobility also got hit. People couldn't move. What are we consuming, right? It's like anything that is not related to mobility is what the consumption is happening, right? But we saw spike in two-wheeler sales last October numbers are showing.
Yes. Historic numbers that too reported by Hero Motors,
right? In some sense, maybe these green shoots also are getting into the green shoots for most of us in the ecosystem, and that's also leading to a lot of these fear of missing out deals. See, typically in a recession, right, everybody will be super cautious and say, look, okay, the deal making will be much more measured, much more risk management higher. All that should have happened, right? That's not happening. First 4 months, maybe everybody was super cautious, and I think everybody is let loose now. Because I think another thing that's happened is a lot of entrepreneurs have realized if you're sitting at home, imagine this conundrum, Karthik. If you're sitting at home and working, right, you have a lot more time on hand, and there are cases where companies have let go of people. So all of these people have trying to build something now. The startup ecosystem is so much more mature. Everybody is spinning up something. We've heard stories, right? Somebody is still working and is already spinning a startup on the side.
Yes. And also, the quality of the ideas that are coming through, and the quality of the founders that are coming through to us, right, is also if you will, a testament to how much the ecosystem has grown over the past few years, right? And Sham has another comment. I put it up on the screen here. AIFs, I guess, are set to grow further, helping the startup ecosystem. That's right. I mean, I would expect more venture funds to come on board in the next few years, and I think um, look. Somebody has recently projected that India will have about 100 unicorns by 2025. Very much, I think that's maybe end up we'll probably realize that it is a little conservative. Once we reach 2025, I think it all depends on how fast we bounce back from this COVID-induced recession, if you will, right? So we're seeing signs of that. In fact, I was also looking at the PMI index, which is also ticking upwards. It's not still in the positive side of things, so it's still a little contracting. But these are all good signs, right? For the economy bouncing back.
Interesting. I think, I don't know, anecdotal evidence that I did shop for the first time like in 8 months yesterday. So I went out and did a bit of shopping and added to the GDP a little bit, right? Saying so.
I always do through Big Basket, Amazon, and Flipkart. I think I added more to GDP in the last 8 months than last year because I didn't have anything else to do.
Yeah, so it is happening, right? I have not spent in this outlet that I stepped in yesterday with my wife ever the kind of money that I actually spent. Like I'm saying in terms of quantum, right? I was surprised that I was willing to. It's maybe like what Vinam is saying, or revenge funding or revenge consumption, right? It is actually happening. I believe 8 months I didn't spend much money on this kind of shopping. Now it's okay, I'll spend now. 8 months I didn't spend on this restaurant. Maybe I'll start spending. Even when the restaurant's open. Right? I think that mindset is there, absolutely there, and people are willing to. As long as people have got their jobs, obviously whoever is retained their jobs and are comfortable. But the rest of the ones we'll have to see how they react. It's not all of them are in the same comfort zone, right? So revenge funding, yeah, Vinam, I love that term now. I think you should own that term now. That's already happening in the ecosystem, man. I think I should put it up for discussion on Clubhouse now. Revenge funding, yeah, that's interesting to put, yeah.
So Vinam, we're gonna own this hashtag also, right? Like we own Freewheeling Fridays hashtag. Thanks for the ideas.
Yeah, that's an interesting term. Yeah, revenge funding, revenge travel, revenge consumption. I mean, good stuff. Which is going to help the GDP in all senses. Yeah. Great.
This is pretty much it, man. This has been a good conversation. Some things that have been there on our minds for some time, right? So it's out in the open. But next week we'll have some surprise guests. I promise you that. I
think we should ask Vinam and Sham to join us next week.
Yes. In fact, Sham and Vinam, if you guys are available right now, I can Zoom you in as we speak right now. Do let me know. You have my number, so you can just WhatsApp me, and I'll, yeah. Copyright, son. Too late now, Vinam. Anything that comes on Java's platform, becomes Java's property. Okay. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Vinam and Sham. Thanks for this engaging one. But yeah, I think I'm serious because we know you, and so yeah, Vinam is ready to join. Karthik,
you should put him on the.
Of course, yeah. I'll make that happen. Why don't you guys take it over from here? I'll just
as Vinam joins and tries to fight it with us on the who owns the revenge funding or copyright. I think the other thing, which is slowly starting to happen. I mean, because I've not stepped out, yesterday stepping out, I just saw what's happening, generally observing people, what's really happening. I think life's moving. Life's really moving, frankly, right? Like
there is traffic back in Perthur. What life's moving?
I didn't expect, right? I hardly step out, unless absolutely necessary. I don't step out, right? Like I did step out yesterday, and I was like observing what's happening, and life's moving. I saw what's happening. I put a picture of some cakes from Glenn's after a long time. And I did look at MTR. I didn't go in, and I just took a takeaway, and I did those stuff, and I mean, it feels nostalgic at some level. You were doing all this stuff. But I think people are realized how to do this. People are wearing masks, at least in Bangalore, that I've observed. At least in most places, people are cautious wearing their masks, except for a few people. Otherwise, people are extremely cautious. Hopefully, if we just stick to washing hands, wearing masks, and I think we will survive the COVID. Most of us would survive the COVID, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I have been visiting schools, so I saw how schools have been preparing because they expect the government to let the 10th, 11th, 12th kids to come back to school, right, for the last term at least. So I have been seeing how they have been preparing, how they have redesigned the classrooms, put up precautionary notices and all that. So it's all good. It's like how people are embracing the situation and trying to live with it, which is good.
And the second order effects of COVID are interesting, Bhargavi. People in a queue, right? They used to just jump on you, right? People don't jump on you anymore. So, I mean, maybe privileged that is still, but I just see a lot of second order effects that will happen, like UPI transactions increasing as a second order effect. People
Yes.
willing to line up with a second order effect, and people being more hygienic, right? Is a second order effect where it starts showing in our healthcare system automatically, right? Like people won't fall sick as often as they used to. I think that's like going to be visible in the next. The COVID itself might have a large impact, if you ask me, on longevity of this generation itself, which will only be visible over the maybe couple of decades when we see, right, the data will actually show some impact actually. And I mean, for all the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, which was there, right, this is like truly added another layer. I mean, a lot of silver linings, I'm saying here, positive stuff that's happened. Obviously, the COVID has to go, but I just sense, a lot of these second order effects that's kind of, come in. Yeah.
Okay, I've just figured out the logistics with Vinam, so he should be joining us in second now.
Yeah. Vinam used to tell me, he usually has his weekly calls. That's why he used to not join us at 6 o'clock. Maybe, he either quit his company or he said, thanks to his boss, I don't know what happened to Vinam.
We will ask him.
Yeah, we'll ask him. That's the first thing, because he's able to join now. Yeah.
Hi.
Hey, Vinam.
Hey, thanks
Hi.
for the offer to join, right?
Anytime, this is the whole point of doing this, right? We wanted to have a freewheeling conversation with
Sure.
people who are interested in the ecosystem and who are from the ecosystem.
Yeah, I've been meaning to attend for quite some time, right? Generally, I think I pinged Vinod also. Like, I have these Friday calls, like one of those Fridays where I do not have a call. So I'm like watching you guys.
Awesome, man. Good to have you, Vinam. What's
Right, Vinam, I think the challenge now, though, is, right, it's all your witty quips, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be very difficult to convey you through the live conversation, man.
I'll give Java Capital the rights. Just credit that to me. I'll be like, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody who's watching this, definitely go check out the angel investing course that these guys have. I attended it, so that's great for sure.
Thank you for the nice plug there. Thanks. What's happening, man? When are you going to invest? What are you observing? I mean, you seem to be doing a lot of groundwork, right? When are you going to, man?
I'm just in the process of collecting the money, right? Just trying to meet that ticket size.
Yeah. I think you should write like the revenge funding time is here. You should also have your
revenge investments for sure. Yeah, hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. I know I've been saying this for quite some time, but hopefully soon.
So Vinam, let me ask you, what's caught your eye in this week, or what's keeping you, oh man, this is happening, I'm not a part of this?
I mean, the US elections is something like I have no clue. I have no clue. I would just pass that comment. Yeah, I'm just waiting for the final winner, and like we're good. Right? I think that will just tell you that you can travel to the US in the next 4 years or not. So
Right now, no travel anywhere. Okay.
yeah. I mean, hopefully, because I got a US visa rejected last November, so I am like pissed at Trump. But generally, so hoping for Biden to come back.
Take COVID out with him.
Let's hope so.
Anything that's caught in the startup ecosystem, any company that you think is doing phenomenally well from your viewpoint or your vantage point, and you are saying, "Oh man, this is going to be big," or something's interesting that's happening.
I saw the whole announcement of like Khata Book and Pagar Book coming up with the staff management app. I think that's what something that is. I'm not sure if you guys have discussed that already in the first half.
No.
Okay.
We didn't discuss,
We didn't discuss it in freewheeling. We just discussed it before freewheeling.
Yeah, I'm not sure why these guys are like coming up with like different apps altogether for each and every function. Why not like club it under like one service, right? Like why have 4 apps in your same one shopkeeper's one shopkeeper has 4 apps to manage? Like why not club? Like that is something which is confusing me, right? Why not give them one platform to sort of manage everything? I don't know.
I think that super app might come.
I mean,
Kirana super app. Possibly.
When somebody was telling roti, kapda, makan na, abhi usko bana diya ki pagar, what is that? I mean, I'm starting to lose names.
Dukan and Khata.
Katha and Dukan, it seems. I mean, I don't know what is next. What will you add next to it, right? Do you have any idea? I want to fund the next one. Some other book tell me that Java is like very keen. We missed out on all these guys. We want to fund the next one. What exactly happened? Because I don't understand what bookkeeping happens in the north. Frankly, I mean, I've never heard of Pagar book. I've never heard of Kata book. Frankly, only I heard after all this funding happened. I mean,
so see, my dad's a retailer, so I know that a lot of these accounts go into like physical books that they maintain, right? I also do not have the exact detail of how is that managed, but then that is my understanding of it. They're just digitizing it, right? Trying to keep a record on it. Proper detail, even like I also don't know. I mean, the thing that I was just thinking on generally was like they're just coming up with a new app every second week. I hear that they're launching a new app for a different function altogether.
Please tell me the next one.
I'll bring them to you once I find someone. For sure.
Yeah, Pagar, what's next? I have some. So give me some name. We're going to look for them. Yeah. Okay.
So I've never heard of Pagar book, but I did. We were familiar with Kata books, though. This is something all the your neighborhood retail store Kirana guy would maintain all his records on. That is something that I was familiar with. But
I've heard of the book, right? But I never knew it was called Kata book, right? Like till Nirmala Sitharaman presented it once, with that red color folder, right? Like I didn't know.
Yeah.
I think it's called Bahi Khata, if I'm not wrong.
Something like that. Yeah, it's called Bahi Kata. I had no clue. Because I was always admiring Chidambaram, and he came with a briefcase always.
It's also because of the geography, probably,
Exactly.
We don't. There is also something called as Parchi.
Parchi. Next is Parchi book. Then
I don't even know whether I'm pronouncing.
Parchi is receipt, essentially.
Yes, but we don't call it that in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and all that, right? So that's why I think it's also because of that.
Yeah. There's another thing I've been thinking, it will happen. These are called as pygmies. I don't know if you guys have heard. Pygmy, anybody in the banking space here?
No.
Pygmy.
This is called pygmy banking, right? Basically, it's a micro saving mechanism. I mean, one of my uncles used to do this in the ages, right? I think next company could be in this space, guys. Watch out. So what happens is they go collect 10 rupees, 20 rupees from small businesses and put it into their account. So the collection will be done by this person called pygmy agent. Okay, this was pioneered in Karnataka in some sense, right? We may talk of 401k and all that, right? This existed. This kind of a nudge existed, even a couple of decades ago. I think one of the banks in Karnataka, I can't recall. I think there's a corporation bank. I think they pioneered it. Bangalore-based. Multiple banks came out of Bangalore, right? So this pygmy thing, maybe there could be a digital automation version of this. We can call it something, find out the name locally. I don't know the name. It could be something, micro savings for SMEs, super app में यही डाल देगा. They'll put money because they didn't know how to save that time, right? And they didn't know how to operate bank account every day. So this pygmy agent will collect it. He'll write the receipt and deposit it in the account. It used to be an everyday affair. I mean, could happen even now, So maybe there's so much of stuff UPI and bank account micro saving in some sense. That's the space. Yeah.
I think if you think,
I have a comment from Sham. Okay, I'm just trying to put it up here. I know it's covering all of our faces, but bear with us.
Yeah, this is RBI's announcement, Karthik. I saw this yesterday. RBI made a announcement saying no more co-origination. They can be called as co-lenders or co-lending, which is RBI's definition change, which basically in some sense means if a loan originates from an NBFC, right, it's not necessarily it's treated as a lead loan or something like that along with the banks. It can be treated as co-lent along with the banks or something like that. I don't know the full details, but that's what happened yesterday. And people were all, saying this is another opening, this is another liberalization mechanism that's happening. Maybe, it again opens up credit and lending. And there's another, one more announcement, especially on the BPO industry also saying, some guidelines have been removed. I mean, I'll be very honest here, I didn't understand what these guidelines were in the first place at all, right? For a BPO. Actually, right? You had some, strangely, there were regulations apparently, you had to have a static IP, call tracking, and so many other things. Right? The Department of Telecom removed all those regulations yesterday. So I think regulations exist in some, dark spaces. You won't know unless you're like so deep into that business, right? You have to meet those regulations, right? Otherwise, you won't know.
Especially in categories like BPO, right, which are the earliest ones to be liberalized, if you will, in India, right? It's strange, but yeah.
They're telling they got liberalized yesterday. It opened up again yesterday, right? Weird thing. I mean, I don't know the full detail, but I would love to see next call. Maybe we should discuss this RBI. What does it mean for NBFCs, and what does it mean, with this BPOs opening up? Vinam, you have any thoughts?
What I remember from one of the podcasts I was listening way back is that a lot of companies are popping up which are trying to automate the whole BPO function, right? So you don't need thousands of people sitting out of India trying to do that BPO work, right? Could be, I don't know, call automation, could be the whole AI thing, right? Which is running like something like Haptic, but maybe like vocal, right?
Yeah, Bargain a company, man, in the portfolio. Yeah.
Okay. So I mean that's what I know. I mean, what is the point of liberalizing something that is already hopefully in the near future scaling down, right?
Correct. Exactly.
This company Babylon Health, they're actually doing that in healthcare, right? For triaging. It's one of the foremost AI companies. It's based out of UK. So just take a look at that. It's fantastic what they are doing with AI technology. Yeah, but we'll see more of those. And hopefully, and one more topic that we ought to discuss is the whole concept of globalization, right? In the post-COVID world, it's going to look a little bit different. We're not going to be in the same globalized world. At least there will be. There are talks about splinternet, globalization. These are going to be the interesting concept that we should be discussing sometime, maybe in the next session or in the future sessions. But for now, Vinam, thank you so much for joining us. Really, always a pleasure to read your funny and witty responses. And don't encourage Vinod, okay? Especially
On what?
It's like you're fanning the fire,
I got that. We need you to do that on Twitter.
So help one.
That's always fun. Yeah, thank you so much for like.
One more guest on today.
Yeah, Bhagi, the guest. Hi.
One more guest.
Hello.
Yeah, awesome.
He's just coming back from his coding class. Vinod.
Got it.
Okay. Do you want? What is the name of the company?
White Hat Junior.
First money,
no. No. Yeah.
Don't answer.
Abhyak, why don't you introduce yourself?
What?
Who are you? What's your name?
Abhyak. That's what he asked. No.
Yeah.
He's the future Indian VC, guys. We already introduced him here. He's going to be there. Watch out. This is a long-term game, and he's starting to play from now on.
Yeah. I think he will start doing his internship in another
He's
couple of
already
years with
interning.
Java
Yeah, he's
Capital.
already interning.
He already intending. He listens to our calls, Vinam. Frankly, everyday calls. He's a part of the calls already, so he's already interning.
He knows names of all our portfolio companies as of now.
Yeah.
Probably will raise his first fund by 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, first fund by 15. Oh, okay. Yeah. Possible.
Also, man, thanks, Vinam. Thanks for being a surprise guest. Literally a surprise guest. Yeah. Okay.
For sure.
Thank you, Vinam.
Cheers, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, Avyak. Bye.
I put Abhik on spot like he wanted to show off.
That's
his,
it, Lego Jungle Rider.
Yeah, man. It's truly freewheeling. Can you guys see the wheels? Yeah, see there. Yes.
Jungle Rider puts off-roading look.
Good segue, Vinod.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, Karthik.
We'll see you again. See you guys again next week.
Yeah.
Keep those comments coming. Do check out our website for all of our previous videos.
Yeah.
All right. Good night.
Yeah,
Have a great
just last thought. I think we've humanized Java Capital, or we humanized VC funding. It's no more this big animal.
Very much so. I couldn't agree with you more. This is what happens behind the scenes.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay, guys. Bye. Good night. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye.